Welcome to DFS Insights, where the game behind the game comes to life. I am David Geislinger. Alongside me is David Grant Jr., my cousin and co-strategist. The teams up on the block are the Minnesota Timberwolves at the Dallas Mavericks.
With your line of success as our top priority, this is where David and I will dive deep into our top three players that we like for this specific game in the series. We'll break down the strategy behind our picks and share our insights that will help put your lineups over the top and into the money.
Nice, yeah. So we just wrapped up Game 3, Eastern Conference Finals. I thought, it could get dragged out more than a sweep, but no, Boston came back, took that over. So yeah, let's go ahead and get back over here to the Mavericks, Timberwolves. So Mavericks stole two from Timberwolves. Yeah, so let's go ahead and do a quick recap of Game 2, and then move on here into what to expect in Game 3. Game 2, Luka with the dagger to put him up 109 to 108. So as you can see, Luka, Gafford, Irving, top three fantasy scorers there. Top three for Minnesota: Gobert, Edwards, and Conley. So the optimal wasn't too crazy. Doncic, Luka at the MVP, Gobert, Gafford, Naz Reid, and Karl Anthony Towns. So not too crazy there. The leverage play there is Gobert, Star, and then Gafford at the pro as well. And then even dropping Karl Anthony Towns down to utility, gain some ownership there. Yeah, so getting on here to the ownerships. So these are the average ownerships from game 1 and 2 with this week's salary. A few things to note. Derek Lively salary jumped up so quite a bit, 1,500 there, and then for the most part, Luka dropped 500. So he's at 17 instead of 17.5. But for the most part, ownership stayed about the same. So yeah, let's go ahead and get over here. Yeah, not too much to cover. I don't understand Vegas, the favoritism. So Dallas is favored only 2.5 points going into home after beating Minnesota, who was favored by 9 and 7 at their home. So now they're only 2.5 favorites when they're moving to their home. So there's that. 207 over under. Dallas offensive rating 114.2, defensive 112.7, pace 94.7. So pace is basically remained the same. Only thing really to add, Luka got put back on the injury. He's game time decision, questionable knee, ankle. He was wearing ice packs during the interview after the game on his knee, but I don't have any doubt that he will play. And Conley is also remains game time decision, but he seemed to be fine playing, so probably just a precautionary thing there. So yeah, looks to be Dallas going into their hometown, and hopefully they stole two from Minnesota, and I want Minnesota to steal two. So the series goes on longer because I kind of like this series for fantasy. So I don't want Dallas to sweep, but I'm here for whatever happens. So yeah, you have anything to add before getting in here to our breakdowns?
Just that I agree with you, man. Hopefully this series does get extended, but I have a feeling it's not going to.
Yes.
So with that, yeah, let's dive in, and the reason it's not going to is because of, as my first pick, Mr. Luka Doncic. Man, this dude is just he could have hurt everything. It's his knee, his ankle, I'm sure like his wrist. We've seen him face plant. It pretty much doesn't, it doesn't matter. He's still, man, he's just still getting the job done. Man, as a Kings fan, it just hurts to know that we took Marvin Bagley over Luka. Man, it just hurts. But I feel like them going home, they're up 2-0. They especially my keynote or key thing here is that because Boston won tonight, they're now up 3-0, and Dallas is the team of any of the teams that really need the rest for Luka going into the finals. So they really, really need to win this next game, so they can also be at 3-0, and have the possibility of sweeping. And so to me, you're going to see a very determined Luka out there. Um, yes, he's going to be chalk at MVP. That is where I'll be mainly playing him. That's fine. I'll be making some other adjustments in other places. But he's just clearly the best player. I'd argue even left in the playoffs, but also in the series. So I'll be playing him at MVP and star. What are your thoughts? I mean, I know it's pretty obvious as a pick, but
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
obviously, you're if you're eating Luca at the MVP, the chalk there, you obviously got to get the leverage elsewhere. But you're also, at the end of the day, still need. He has, the highest potential to outdo his median projection, as he basically has done in it looks like the last 4 games. Being projected about high 40s and still being able to go over that. So yeah, no, Luca is a good play. It's just eating that 50% chalk up there. You're going to have to get pretty creative, especially in the larger field tournaments there. So yeah,
yeah,
I'm going to go the
nice.
opposite side of the ball here. Going
All
into
right.
Anthony Edwards again. Seems like I'm on repeat here. I'm going to utilize him again at the MVP. Yeah, I just you gotta forget what happened and then move on to the next game. So I think if Timberwolves are going to win any of these games, Anthony Edwards is going to have to step up and being that all-star that we know he is. I mean, unfortunately, he hasn't shown it in this series yet, but I'm liking him at the MVP for that leverage. He is leverage for based on Luca. He's coming in at 32.6% ownership, where Luca's sitting at about 55-60% ownership there. He is averaging 46. He was averaging last series against Denver, was averaging 46 fantasy points. So I need that kind of performance and even higher from him in order to make this leverage play happen. Obviously, you still need the points. So if Luca is putting up the points, I'm going to still have him, Luka at the MVP. But my only concern is, the reports are kind of confirmed that he had to actually step out of the fourth quarter for about 2.5 minutes to get oxygen. So I don't know if he's, like what's his stamina like, what's his endurance like. But yeah, if that's kind of making me a little nervous that he has the potential to do what is needed, the 40 plus minutes here. So I'm going to keep that in mind while making lineups. So I'm definitely going to have him at MVP, but keeping in mind I might limit to how many I have of him. So yeah, what do you think of that? And before I get my second play.
Yeah, I think the main concern is really he's averaging 42 minutes over the last 5 games. He's averaging 40 minutes over the last 20 games, and I think even at 22 years old, all that's like really catching up to him. But other than that, this is a must-win for them. So, I could see him really putting the team on his back. He is going to take a good 23 plus shot attempts, and I'll have a lot of exposure to him as well. So, yep, great pick. Who do you got here lined up for your second pick?
Nice second pick. I'm going to go with one of the towers here, Daniel Gafford. Seems like I'm repeating. Might as well just watch game two's video because it seems like I'm doing it. But this is what the numbers I'm getting add up. So I like Gafford coming in. I have Star and Pro up here. But mainly using him at the pro leverage. He remained at the 8,500 mark. He's getting the 21 minutes, 22.2 usage while he's in, which is crazy for the minutes. In this series, 29.4 average fantasy points. He's projected about 24. So yeah, I have him up there at the Star Pro, where Star ownership this series is only 0.3. Pro is 4.6, so about 5%. And then utility, he's up about 26%. Yeah, last series he was averaging 27 fantasy points. Derek Lively skyrocketed. So Lively went up 1,500 fantasy points, or 1,500 salary, and he only scored 27.8 fantasy points in game two. Gafford remained the same at 8,500, and he scored 37 fantasy points in game two. So Gafford's getting 21 minutes, Lively's getting 26 minutes. So with that, basically the same, potential there, the range of outcome, everything's the same. Gafford, you're saving 3K or 2,500
Yes.
with him. So I don't know why
Yeah.
it's almost like a no brainer. Will I have Lively in lineups? Absolutely, but Gafford there, and then even to throw him up in the star, we've seen him hit 40, 50 plus games. So having an 8,500 person at the star at 0.3% own, and he hits one of those, you're sitting pretty. So what do you think of that? Before you get in a second here.
Well, there's a pick that we both agree on. My second pick is Mr. Daniel Gafford.
Yes.
Yep, I could not believe I saw 8,500 again after a great performance. And then, as you mentioned, Lively just skyrocketing up. All that's going to do is make Gafford's ownership, obviously through the roof in the utility. So the play is going to be the pro spot for sure, if not the star. I mean, as you mentioned, we've seen him, be optimal in the star. So that's definitely a possibility. But I will be mainly playing him at the pro spot. I mean, because obviously, if he's at utility, he's gonna be chalk central like TJ McConnell was tonight at like 56%. I mean,
Yeah.
it was just ridiculous. So, to me, he's the absolute best value on the slate. My only concern, he is playing with a dislocated finger. This did happen, I believe, last series. I remember you and I even were talking about it watching the game. Like we were like, man, something doesn't look right with Daniel Gafford, and it's that he had dislocated one of his fingers. On top of it was another small injury, so that's really my only concern. But other than that, I mean, he's obviously out there. He's going to be playing, and he's got the upside. 8,500. I'll be over the field, with the ownership on him, and again, really trying to fit him in that pro spot to
Yeah.
not eat the chalk.
I agree. I agree. Nice,
So,
nice. All right. So who you
so
got? Who you got here for your third pick?
well, for my third pick, I'm actually going with Mr. Derek Jones Jr. On the Mavericks as well. With them going home, I did a little digging and I just noticed that his home away splits seem to be pretty big. He does much better at home, and his minutes are there. He's averaging 32.7 minutes. Um, I'll be playing him at the pro and the utility. He is only 8K, and again with the minutes being up above up above 30 minutes, basically, with what his salary is and his upside is definitely, in the mid 30s to I'd even say mid 40s if he gets hot. He's a 3 and D player, so I did notice in the games where he is scoring those higher fantasy points, it's because he's getting those steals. So he will need to be getting a couple of those, and then I mean he can take it to the rack and he can shoot the three ball. So at 8K, again, just another value play, and I think the Mavericks are going to win. So I can't get away from that great price, and just with his home away splits, he just does so much better at home. So that's my final play here. What are your thoughts, and who do you got here for your final play?
Yeah, no, I like him. Yeah. I mean, this series seems to be a little rough for him. He's averaging about 15.5 points or so. But last series he had a few games over, close to 30, so that made it pretty nice. I think what that's doing, him being at the 8K, is what's really making his ownership where it's at. A lot of people, when they see uh, that they start. You usually see the ownership dropping, but he's at 32% in the utility, 3% in the pro. So hopefully he has one of those nights, and you have him in the pro to get that leverage. But I can still see him being around maybe upper 20s, 30% still, because he still is probably one of the better plays in that range. I mean, with Gafford at 8,500, Derek Jones, and then I think Nas Reed creeped up, to
Yeah,
9,500. So, if you're starting to get down low, he is a good play. So yeah.
yeah. I just notice. I'm hoping people game log troll and see and think, oh, he's played him twice, like you mentioned. He's only had 15 fantasy points in each game, so they might be thinking, oh, this is a bad matchup because there's the two games.
Yeah.
But the same thing kind of happened in the OKC game, uh, where he scored low, got home, scored high. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm banking on. So yeah, right on. Well, who do you got here as your final play?
Final play. I'm gonna go with PJ Washington. Can't ignore the salary on him. So yeah, I like him. More pro. I have star and pro up there on the screen, but he's getting 39.3 minutes, 15.3 usage there. It has dropped a little bit now that Luka seems to be more in control. He had those great games in the previous series when Luka kind of took a back seat to scoring, and he stepped it up. But even still, he is averaging 24.2 points this series. He is projected 28. He dropped from 11K to 9K from game two. So at 9K, points per salary, also jumped up. So now he's at about 2.7. A little hard to ignore his potential in that salary range. So from the series, he's 1.7% at the star, 10% at the pro, 9% at the utility. So that's why I put him up at star 2, because I know he does have the potential to get 35, 40, 45 points. So I'll be probably more in the pro location, and then I'll have actually some in the star as well. So, and last series his average salary was 11K and averaging 32 plus fantasy points. So he does have the potential to be up there. And with that 2K price drop, it's almost too good to pass up. So, what do you think about Washington before we wrap it up here?
Yeah, no. Again, great play. Yeah, like you mentioned, I mean, that salary drop just can't be ignored. He is the one that is getting the most consistent minutes out of the three big guys between him, Gafford, and Lively, and so which is mind-boggling with the price drop like that. So yeah, definitely, I think he is going to be really high owned in utility. So I think the pro spot, to get some leverage is going to be where you want him. And like you mentioned, he is one that could also be in the star. Depending on how many lineups you're making, he does have the potential to be optimal there as well. So, yeah, great pick. I like it.
Nice. All right. Well, hey, there we go. There's 5 picks. We did overlap on Daniel Gafford, so got 5 today. So make sure you do everything that we always ask. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. If you noticed from the previous, dropped some news in regards to Drew Holiday. Didn't he was able to end up playing, but Halliburton's news dropped. We put that up there. Answered a few people's questions they had too. So if you have any questions, drop those in. If you need some extra input or thoughts, or if you're thinking between two people, put that there. We'd be more than happy to give you our opinions there. So with that, keep in mind we're covering these conference finals until they end, and then next week we'll be covering the UFC over there for DraftKings. So subscribe so you don't miss anything. With that, good luck. Hope to see you up there on that leaderboard, dude.
Yep. Hey, hope everyone out there is having a good, safe Memorial Day weekend. Thank you to everybody out there who served our country. And hey, I'd look forward to watching this game tomorrow. And good luck to everyone out there. And we'll see you guys on the next one.